So here we are, and I want to thank Spherexx for their complete and total, uh, you know, sponsorship is what it is, but it's basically a partnership. It's like, hey, let's do some education for the industry and let's make it something unique and different that you know what nobody else is doing out there, and that's what Pattern Disrupt is all about. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Dun da da da. Who am I? Who is this lady that keeps talking? My name is Stephanie Oehler. Hello, everyone. I am a industry person since 1999. I started way back in the day in Dayton, Ohio. So if anyone Ohio people here, hello. That was me leasing. I'm also a Price is Right winner. Well, I won my game when I got to the showcase. We'll talk about that another time. And I'm the mother of three amazing daughters. So, that's kind of my life in a nutshell is training and speaking and just passion about the industry. All right, here we go. We'll keep going. Feel free if you have questions to drop them in the chat. And periodically, I will be checking the chat for any good questions. And we'll go from there. Dun, dun, dun. Today, what we're covering, we are talking about why prospects go into autopilot. We're going to talk about what is a pattern disrupt. We're going to talk about the framework that will kick the autopilot problem. And we're going to pattern disrupt across the entire prospect journey. We're going to talk a little bit about technology and people. And then at the end, commitment, closing, and a QR code. So at the end, the QR code is for you to say, hey, that webinar, I liked this part, I liked this part I could have done. I could have had better music at the beginning, whatever it might be. If you can review our webinar, that would be amazing. So that QR code will pop up at the end. In addition, I would like for you to know and to not worry. If for some reason you are a note taker, take your notes. But I am going to send you out the PowerPoint after today's webinar. So you'll get the entire PowerPoint. So do not worry if you're like trying to scramble and take notes. You can just take kind of general notes and then you'll get the entire PowerPoint. Also, I'm going to send you out the recording. So if there is something that you missed, don't worry about it. You are going to be able to see the recording and be able to go back and catch anything that you might have missed. And last but certainly not least, training is an event. This is an event. It is actually, I think of it as a party event, right? We're having fun, but it's an event. Learning transfer happens in the doing. And so the other thing that I'm going to send you after our event today is something called a reflection and retention worksheet. And this reflection and retention worksheet will allow for you to download what we talked about today and make your action plan, write it out, make your commitment to act on it, to do. That way you can ensure that you are optimizing learning transfer and that you are putting into place the tools that you need in order to see more leases after you've pattern disrupted. So I love that. I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that going into it. And Chelsea, did you really see me on The Price is Right? That would actually be really funny. We'll talk later about what I did wrong in the showcase. Anyway, well, welcome aboard, guys. Welcome aboard. Continue to throw in the chat. Like I said, if there's questions, I'll check them periodically. But otherwise, let's get us going. How are we doing? Why? Quick show of hands. I know that you guys don't have your cameras necessarily on, so maybe drop in the chat. How many of you have ignored any emails today? How many of you have scrolled past some ads? You're like, maybe all of us, right? How many of you, yeah, not the leasing emails. I love that for you. How many of you have read a text message and then forgotten to respond back? We are admitting to these things. Yes, yes. we do want to admit it because, of course, we're guilty, guys. We're not the only ones. Your prospects are doing it too, right? Like the challenge isn't that we don't care about these things. We all know, like we care. I'm going to respond to my daughter at some point when I remember to go back to it. But the challenge is that we and my daughter and everybody are competing for attention in a world where people have become exceptional filters. We are master filters right now because there's just so many things competing with us for that attention. So yes, we have to acknowledge that we did. We definitely are ignoring things that we shouldn't necessarily be ignoring. All right, guys. The goldfish. Wow, you've heard this before. So tell me, true or false, attention spans are now shorter than a goldfish's. True or false? True. We got a lot of trues. We got a lot of trues. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. We got a few. Gen Z. Yeah, right. I know. Seriously, that's what they say. False. Oh, we got our first false. Darian. Okay, okay. Yes, actually, at my age, everything is a short attention span. This is real. This is actually, I know, don't come for me, especially Leah. I know you research this stuff too. But it's actually false because the goldfish doesn't actually only have an attention span of 8 seconds. So that's why it's false. They actually have an attention span that's greater than that. Frankly, we owe the goldfish an apology because they are brighter than we give them credit for. But really, it's not even about the short attention span. It's about us having better filters. Because who's going to be honest? You may ignore your emails, the ads, the text messages, the notifications, the AI generated content, social media, whatever it is. But can you not scroll TikTok for an hour until the lady says it's time to go to bed? I'm going to wait until you acknowledge that. Those are short videos, but our attention span in the whole scheme of it is long. If you can sit on there for an hour, you have just better filters, right? Our filters, basically our brain asks us, have I seen this before? Does it matter? Can I safely ignore this? And if the answer is yes, our attention disappears. So that's one of the reasons that scrolling is so popular. So like I said, I'm pretty sure we owe the goldfish an apology. The sameness problem. So we are asking, can I safely ignore this? The same greetings, the same emails, the same tours, this, like the same that's popping up, the same follow-up, all of that that's happening out there in the wild, wild world that we live in. And it's kicking our prospects into the filtering mode. So they are in autopilot because we're basically pattern recognition machines. And they're like, oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. I've seen that. I've seen that. They scan it, they ignore it, and they move on. The other big part of why there's a sameness problem is that when we sound like everybody else, we are also in autopilot. We are also in autopilot. We're like, are you still looking? How many will live in the apartment? When are you looking to move in? And they are hearing the same thing. And it's just, again, kind of did your mother ever say to you what my mother said to me? It's like it's going in one ear and coming out the other. My mom said that to me all the time. I think I had an active listening prob way back in the day. But that's the problem is, again, we go into autopilot and when we're in autopilot too, which is keeping our prospects in autopilot, but not anymore. We know why they're doing it. And here's why they love it. Our brains love autopilot because the familiar can get filtered out before it registers. Selective attention. So again, in one ear and out the other, as my mom said, or if I hear from my kids, mom, 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 mommy, mom, mama, mom, mama, mama, for after a while, I don't hear it anymore. That was very familiar and it got filtered out before it even registered. They're like, Mom, I yelled your name like 10 times. I'm sorry, I was on autopilot. Oh, our prospects are the same way. We're the same way. Prediction. So when we know it's coming, we stop paying attention, right? We're like, okay, I know that this is coming. I don't need to do the same thing. I already know it's coming. Habituation, it's repeated stimuli produce weaker responses. So when they see the same subject lines over and over again, they're less likely to respond. And of course, our brains love autopilot. We love to, something feels familiar, right? Like when you're driving home, has anyone driven home and actually like didn't, record in their brain the, part of that drive? We were literally on autopilot. It's kind of scary when that happens, but that's partly because of habituation and prediction in our brains. And of course, we also have decision fatigue. We make dozens of decisions a day. And so our brain will default to inaction. Guys, how many times do you say, I don't want to decide what's for dinner? Like, I don't want to choose. I don't want to make one more decision. That's part of our decision fatigue, right? Every day. Yes, that's part of our decision fatigue. So how can we earn attention again, right? From our prospects for ourselves? It's novelty effect. The unexpected earns attention. And that, my friends, is our opening. Pattern disrupt. I feel like the WWE. Oh gosh, I'm really aging myself there. Pattern disrupt. This is a psychological and sales technique that is used to break autopilot. By introducing the unexpected, you jolt the brain out of its subconscious autopilot, momentarily opening it up to something that's safe and new. Scientists will call it a prediction error. That's like that's the scientific term. You'll hear some people call it a pattern interrupt. Some people call it that novelty effect. But I've been using pattern disrupt in my sales training for over 10 years. Because when the brain expects one thing and it experiences another that's purposeful, human, memorable, that we're delivering, that breaks the autopilot and it helps move the prospect journey forward. That's what pattern disrupt is all about. You guys are already super familiar with pattern disrupts. Tell me what you know about Chick-fil-A. When I ask a question, I'm going to tell you guys a secret too. It gives me an opportunity to take a drink of my coffee. Okay, so perfect. Closed on Sunday. Closed on Sundays. Yes, that's right. More chicken. If you go to Chick-fil-A, is there anything services special for fast food? Yes. Is there anything else that they do that's different and kind of breaks you out? Yes, there it is. My pleasure. That's exactly right. Chick-fil-A brought in a pattern disrupt with, instead of saying just a simple thank you, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with thank you, right? They say my pleasure. And it is a well-known pattern disrupt out there in the industry that surprises and delights customers everywhere and helps break autopilot, where Chick-fil-A becomes an intentional destination. Their buns contain 50 ingredients. Is that real? I don't even know what that means. Yes. So, and taking your orders outside, that is a great example. Being closed on Sunday, all of that is part of Chick-fil-A's entire kind of brand attempt at constantly pattern disrupting, right? They want you to think of them and engage with them and buy from them. And so they're bringing in these little pattern disruptions all throughout the experience. So thinking about that, what about Disney? What do you know about Disney and the way that they choose to pattern disrupt? You can buy their waffle fries at Walmart now. Somebody really likes Chick-fil-A. People call it the worst chicken. What about Disney? Disney, we just went to Disneyland. My eldest daughter turned 24, and that was what she wanted for her birthday. You got to love when you're 24. I was like, let's go to Disneyland, mommy. Happiest place on earth. They do call it that. Like, most expensive place on earth. Nobody wrote that. No, I'm just kidding. Disney, everyone can answer any question. Yes, that's a really good one. It doesn't matter if you are approaching someone that is manning a ride or if someone you are approaching someone who's cleaning up a table at the cafeteria or what have you, anybody can answer your question and they're willing to. Yes, they have cats to kill the rodents. That is a pattern disrupt. They bring them out at night. They point with two fingers. Yes, that's so true. It's because it's a small thing, right? Where pointing with one finger kind of feels a little more, just expected, and two fingers feels a little bit more luxurious or kinder. I love that they call people guests. They don't have customers, they have guests. And anybody, you mentioned Stormy, anybody can answer a question. Anybody can also create a Disney magic moment that you didn't see coming. And they do. They choose to all the time. We were there for my daughter's birthday, and there were all these little kids kind of lined up around this table, and I was just looking to see what was going on, and it was the lady with the buttons, right? The happy birthday buttons. And she was like, she saw me looking. She goes, "Oh, do you guys want some buttons?" I said, "Oh, no, they're for the kids." She said, "Are you not a kid at heart?" And I'm like, how did she know? So we got all these exactly, they're cast members. We got all these amazing buttons for my daughter, and my 24-year-old daughter wore it all over Disneyland and was able to, get happy birthday told to her. And she felt so special. That's a pattern disrupt. That's not the kind of experience that you're going to have everywhere that you go. How about Costco? Any Costco peeps in the house? How do they surprise and delight? How do they pattern disrupt? Pizza, samples is where I was definitely leaning. $1.50 hot dog. But yes, the samples are a big part of it because it's disrupting your shopping experience in a positive way. It's intentionally breaking your autopilot. Because think about the times that you go to the grocery store or you are just like, I have a list. I don't want to look at anything else. But Costco's like, hey, bestie, come over here and get some delicious treats. And you are interrupted in a positive way. You are engaged with them, and you definitely convert. I think every time I try a sample, I buy it. I love these that you can only use a MasterCard. So they have brand loyalty. That's unexpected in a good way. Move everything around. Yes, Victoria. So they're making sure that you're not able to stay in autopilot while you're in their store, because they're like, wait, that was not where the sodas were yesterday, right? So they're doing an amazing job of keeping us engaged in order for us to convert. How about Southwest Airlines? Now, I used to be a big Southwest stan before they made their big changes this year. So, but they still have some of the core of what they pattern disrupt. The jokes. Yes, nailed it. The jokes. They are so funny. They make me cackle when I'm on their airline. You are now free to move about the country. That's right. But they are so funny when they do that because it's like very unexpected. Flying can be really intense for people. Some people get anxiety and have fear. And so Southwest really disrupts that fear autopilot and with the humor. So when they're doing the funny things on the mic and they're just really trying to surprise and delight, like their Southwest customers, they're the flyers on it. They probably have a different name for it too. It really is. It's a great example of pattern disrupt. And then one of my favorite is this one from the Weather Channel. I hope you guys can hear this, but so the Weather Channel, if anyone follows the Weather Channel, and if you don't, please do. They are so funny. I mean, well, yeah, you'll see. So they post on TikTok and stuff. They're like, this is why editing is so important, right? Like this is the raw image. And it's a Weather Channel. So you're thinking maybe it's going to be a storm or sunshine or something like that, right? Here we go. Oh no, I lied. We didn't go because, here we go. There we go. I saw that and I thought that is such a pattern disrupt. It completely took me out of my autopilot scrolling on TikTok and just made me it brought me so much joy that let's play it again. I mean, did anyone expect that kind of like slay humor from the Weather Channel? Anybody? So much fun. So those are pattern disrupts that we see everywhere. If I missed any of your favorites, drop them in the chat, like some of the places that are surprising and delighting you and breaking your autopilot, because I think those examples really help us. All right. So this is the framework. I brought it up a couple times while we were watching and talking about the examples in the wild. The framework is pretty simple, three-step framework. Interrupt, engage, and convert, right? Interrupt. We are breaking expectation. We are creating attention. We are engaging. This is part of our trust building and our relationship building with our prospects and creating a connection with them. With the sameness, everything feels transactional. With pattern disrupt and engagement, it feels intentional, right? It feels, again, human, memorable. It helps build that trust to be relationship oriented, which allows us to move in to converting, right? Advancing the journey, creating commitment. Now, every email you send isn't necessarily going to get them ready to sign a lease, but it can advance the journey towards the next step, creating another level of commitment. So if we think about it in terms of moving them forward in the prospect journey, that's passing this test of, does it interrupt? Does it engage? Does it convert? Right? Because if it only gets attention, but it doesn't move the relationship forward, it's really more of a distraction and not a strategy. So if any of those things we talked about with the big brands, if any of those things were just to shock us, like shock and awe versus surprise and delight, it doesn't necessarily move people forward in the converting part of it, right? So how do we know? How do we test the framework? So here's the pattern disrupt test. As you're working through deciding how you're going to pattern disrupt, ask yourself, does it interrupt autopilot? Does it drive engagement, create a connection? And does it advance the journey towards converting to a rental, right? Is it advancing the journey? That's the three-step test of the three-step framework. I kept it nice and simple for us because we've got a lot going on. What's so funny is I talk about our business in multifamily. I say leasing and sales, it's a high interrupt role, but not the kind of interrupt I'm talking about here, not the necessarily good kind, because we are constantly, right, like inundated, and we do turn on our autopilot, turn on our filters sometimes because of those interruptions. But in this case, we're interrupting autopilot again in a meaningful way to get their attention, break them out of and get through their filtering process, driving connection with your prospects. All right. So speaking of the prospect journey, here are the 8 steps of the prospect journey, just to kind of bring it back to our current world. Awareness. This is when they're aware they're looking. That doesn't mean they're looking, but we have a lot of control over what they see on social, on the internet listing services, on our websites, our curb appeal, right? I always call it our curb appeal and our online curb appeal. Consideration is where they start to reach out to you. Evaluation is where they're getting responses back, ideally, and they're filtering really heavily here too. Then they go into decision mode, application and approval mode, which is a pretty intense part of their journey because they get worried. Even if their credit's perfect and they make $1 bazillion, they're worried that something's gonna get flagged that they didn't know about. We all do that. Then you have your move-in experience, your post-move-in, which is a hypercritical time, and renewal or exit. That's your prospect journey, right? So when we're thinking about our prospects' journeys, when we're talking awareness, you're probably thinking, yeah, that's our marketing, right? That's our marketing. We market apartments. But the pattern disrupt is in that awareness stage. How can we create curiosity, right? In that consideration stage, when we're answering their questions, they reached out to us, we're answering their questions. How can we discover their motivation? In that evaluation stage, when they're touring and they're getting responses and they're trying to figure it out, well, yeah, we're giving a tour, right? But how can we pattern disrupt and create an experience? decision. We asked for the lease. We create confidence when we're pattern disrupting. Application and approval, well, we'll notify them when it's all the way through the process. You could lose them here. My daughter, that same 24-year-old daughter, she's now searched for apartments 2 years in a row. And both times with different apartments during the application stage, she was so worried because she didn't hear anything. And her excitement was just dwindling, dwindling, dwindling. And what it turns out is one of her roommates hadn't sent their information in back-to-back years, different roommates, funny enough, but nobody told her. So that excitement just completely dwindled. She almost got to the point where she said, do I need to go look somewhere else? Do I need to go rent somewhere else? So we can lose them here if we only notify and we don't create excitement. And then in move-in, we hand over the keys when we could be creating belonging. And of course, with renewal or exit, we send a renewal notice or we could be creating appreciation. All right. So what I have here next is I have the kind of behind the curtain, the peek behind the curtain of what helps create all of those different pattern disrupts for each stage of the journey. And it's being proactive. Very few prospects are expecting you to be so proactive because that's just not what their experience has told them. They will filter all of the reactiveness, and the proactiveness becomes its own pattern disrupt. So reaching out before they wonder, like with my daughter, answering before they ask, creating those unexpected touch points, right? And starting the process and initiating every time to create that connection, to interrupt, engage, and convert. And now for each of these stages, I've got a ton of words. And guess what? I am not going to go over every single one of these. Right? Because this is a lot of words and we don't need word salad today. But I promised you, I'm sending you all of these slides. So you will have all of these great examples and you can add your own examples to it too. Like, what can you do during awareness, consideration, evaluation, decision, application, move-in, post-move-in, renewal or exit to pattern disrupt? So instead of going through all that word salad, we're actually going to meet a prospect. We're going to meet Maya. Maya is in a new job in a new city and she's apartment hunting, but she is on autopilot. She is filtering us already. We need to create curiosity, discover motivation, create experience, create anticipation and confidence to lead her through that journey with pattern disruption. So I want you to tell me the autopilot versus pattern disrupt example. Does it pass the pattern disrupt test? Does it interrupt, engage, and help convert or move the prospect along, right? So autopilot, thank you for your interest in Brookstone. Hi, Maya. Thank you for reaching out. We'd love to tell you more about our community. We have 1 and 2 bedroom homes available starting at $1,450. Let me know if you'd like to schedule a tour. If it sounds familiar, it's because when I sent out shopping, I received that almost exact email multiple times, over and over again, sameness, right? Versus a potentially pattern disrupt. The subject was, quick question about your move. Hi, Maya. I noticed you're relocating for a new job. Before I send you everything, I want to make sure I send you the right things. What matters most to you in your new home? Full stop. Does it pass the pattern disrupt test? Did it interrupt autopilot? You guys can let me know in the chat. Yes, perfect. So we're on a roll here. Did it engage? Create a connection? Yes. Perfect. Awesome. Is it helping move along? Is it converting? Yes, yes, and yes. Woohoo! If it passed all 3, then it passed the test. Yes, indeed it did. What this has done is it helped to break that autopilot, completely pull Maya out of the filtering zone and into, oh, wow, they asked me a question that was about me. So they led with what they noticed, right? Not what they had, but they referenced the specific situation. Subject lines that are curious versus like available now, thank you for your interest, are way more impactful and definitely help you with the filtering. And then one question, like what matters most to you in your next home, what's most important to you, which I consider the magic question, what's most important to you. If you've ever been on any of my trainings, and a few of you have, hi guys, you know, I always talk about the magic question. Don't worry, it comes up again. Because I can't leave without it. It's like I can't leave home without it. But one question beats a paragraph. This person, this leasing agent, could have just gone on and on about everything they're having to offer, but it really wouldn't have been as effective as brevity, which is signaling respect for her time, and it creates a reason to reply. With this one, let me know if you'd like to schedule a tour. Maybe she schedules the tour. Maybe she does. But with this one, you're most likely getting her to break autopilot and moving along. All right, next one. We're on the phone. Hey, Maya, just checking in to see if you're still looking and if you had any questions. You know why that sounds familiar? Because again, same. Hey, Maya, this is Jordan from Willowbrook. I'm not going to jump right into all the ways we are amazing, which we are, but I did want to say congratulations on the new job. Next, before you schedule a lot of in-person tours, I wanted to know what would make apartment shopping actually feel easy for you right now? You know, kind of given her situation with moving to a new job in a new city. He's just like, hey, what's going to make it easy? And she's on the phone, right? And he broke the pattern. Or did he? Did he? Did he interrupt autopilot? Yeah, good. I think he did. Did he engage? I'm like shaking my head. Yes. Is that like, yes. If someone said no, they'd be like, well, Stephanie was shaking her head. Yes. Yes, he did. He engaged, right? And he converted, right? Like, what's going to make this easy for you, Maya? Like, I want to make things easy for you right now. And that is something that is completely disrupting the pattern from everybody else that she heard from. Yes, it did pass the test, which is a good thing. Disarm them first. I love starting with, I'm not gonna do something. Like, I'm not gonna do this, because they're like, wait, what? They're so used to just checking in. Are you still looking? But here I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna say all those things. Reference the specifics in their first 10 seconds so they know that you are engaging with them, creating that connection. And I love the question, making it about their life, not your availability, if we think about it that way. Oh my gosh, I love this. So I'm going to pause for a second and let's look at the chat. We've got a Geneva at Laura. I may be saying that wrong, but please forgive me. Apartments. She's her pattern disruptor. Her conversations with every prospect leave a positive impression. 70% of our renter demographic is from out of state, right? So she's got a lot of Mayas probably. So the way she connects with them really helps them set their community apart. We're the only ones walking distance, and she highlights life near the Las Vegas Strip. Woohoo! Geneva! That is amazing. So Geneva is a natural pattern disruptor. She is following the interrupt, engage, convert process flawlessly, it sounds like. Awesome. Geneva, in fact, is she on the call? I'm gonna hand it to her. No, is she on the call, Claudia?
Hi.
Hi. you want to take over? You're amazing. I can't wait to learn more from you. Actually, we'll talk later. Okay.
Okay.
I love that. Very good. Very good. All right. Perfect. I love a shout out. Yeah. Shout out your pattern disruptors. Hey, look, the goldfish are back. The chore, right? The experience begins before the door. Welcome. Let me show you everything. Here are 25 floor plans, Maya. And then we'll head to the amenities and work our way up to the model. Okay, great. Oh, oh, everyone's logged in under, oh, that's why I didn't see her name. Okay, perfect. Pattern disrupt. Glad to meet you, Maya. So confirming what's most important to you includes ensuring your dog Cooper is happy here and your assigned covered parking is close to your apartment. Let's start with, what does Cooper need to be happy here, right? So on the phone, when he asked her what would make her move easier, she mentioned that she really wanted a place with parking near her apartment, covered parking near her apartment, and she really wanted to make sure her dog would be happy there. That was what was most important to her, and that was what would make her move easier. So now she's at the tour, and Jordan is just reaffirming it. And he is, I know, sounds like you need a Zoom training class. Exactly. um, Reaffirming it and starting with what does Cooper need to be happy here? Because just saying, I want to make sure my dog is happy is one thing, but tell me, what does he need to be happy? And you're going to get her to open up, right? So are we passing the pattern disrupt test? Did we interrupt autopilot? Yes. Did we interrupt autopilot? Yes. Engage? Absolutely. And again, this is my trick to get me more coffee. And convert. Yeah. Because now she's going to tell us what Cooper needs to be happy. And then we're going to make sure that we provide all that for Cooper. Absolutely. So on the tour, like I said, the goldfish are back. On the tour, there's different magic question variants. Of course, I brought up the magic question earlier. What's most important to you is truly magic. Asking it at any point, but early on is best. But if you forgot or something happened and you didn't get to do it, that's okay. You can absolutely go back in time and ask it. You can actually go back in time and say, hey, you know what? I didn't ask you what's most important to you. Let me ask you that now. I love some of these other variants too. What's the one thing at the last place you looked that got it wrong? Or this one is like mwah, chef's kiss. If you could design the perfect morning routine in your new place, what would it look like? Right? Maybe they don't have a Cooper to say what would Cooper need to be happy here, but what if you could just say, hey, while we're sitting down, I'm going to start to find out what's most important to them, but I also want to learn about them. So if you could design the perfect morning routine, Janessa, in your new place, what would it look like? Doesn't that feel different than, okay, here's everything we have, which, is what we're kind of used to out there in the world, in the wild, wild West, and the wild, wild East for all you East Coasters. Perfect. So now Jordan's passing the test. Well, Maya had some decisions to make. And so she had to go back home, and then she's getting all her stuff ready to move. So the follow-up, right? The proof of attention. Hey, Maya. Actually, that might happen too, where you pronounce it wrong, even though you've talked to her 4 times. Hi, Maya. Just wanted to check in and see if you had any questions after your tour. It's not bad. It's just the same. And then instead, Jordan sends a text and thought of Cooper when I saw this yellow lab hanging out at our dog park. Sent the picture of this I think that's a yellow lab on the bench in the dog park. Maybe Cooper's new friend. And I measured the covered parking closest to your unit that we talked about. Let's assume he said that is about 40 feet from the entrance. Did he interrupt autopilot? Yes, he did, right? Yeah, because the other one was boring. Jordan's not boring. Jordan's sending pictures of dogs. I feel like that wins every time. Even if you don't have a dog. Just kidding. Yes, he absolutely interrupted and engaged. That's right, Ethan. Thank you. And of course, he's going to convert because this is where Maya is going to choose to live. Cooper does look like a good boy. This is where Maya is going to choose to live because this is what made her feel something. It made her filter. It broke through her filters. It broke through her autopilot, right? So reference their pet, their commute, their concern, whatever it is. Don't ask the same questions over and over again. Remember the answers they've given you and send in the channel that indicates their preference. Notice that Jordan texted her this time. Likely because Jordan is amazing. Jordan probably asked Maya if she preferred text message over email or phone. And so he texted her the picture and, it made it easy for her to make the decision. He created confidence versus, so what do you think? Are you ready to move forward? Again, if it sounds familiar, it's because it is familiar. Versus pattern disrupting, what questions haven't I answered yet? What are you still comparing? What would need to be true for this to feel like the right decision? Love it. If we could just switch it up, we're breaking that autopilot with these questions. I'll just answer it for us. Yes, Jordan rocked this one. Starlet, you are so right. Jordan absolutely rocked this one. And yes, of course, Maya rented from him. She felt so confident in moving forward. And the reason these are good for pattern disrupting during the closing conversations is because what do you think puts the burden back on them? Didn't we talk about decision fatigue? Right? What do you think? Oh, now I have to think about what I think and dinner and all the things where what questions haven't I answered puts the burden on us, right? Like signaling we're not done having this conversation till you're confident this is the community for you, right? And that's the difference between pressure and partnership. That's the kind of urgency we can create, not pressuring them with, what do you think? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you still looking? Are you still looking? Are you still looking? What would need to be true for this to feel like the right decision? How can I make sure you're confident? And of course, yes, Jordan rocked this one. Yes, he did. Yes, I love it. Jonathan, can you imagine yourself living here? Yeah. Like it's just that one's a really nice, simple yes or no, right? Not a lot of decision making there. Steal this. You can screenshot this. You can use this today before you get all of it in a follow-up email, because that might take a couple hours based on how long it takes for Zoom to render my recording. So if you want to use this today, you can go ahead and screenshot this, right? This is just a really quick kind of overview of what just happened with Jordan and Maya and that storytelling that we did. Interrupt, engage, convert. Awesome. What I haven't addressed or talked about much is the technology side of things. Technology is a huge part of weaving in pattern disrupts, right? Technology can help create that consistency and the pattern disrupt that helps create that connection. And actually, you know what? Let's pattern disrupt now. And I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice. Lindsay, why don't you talk about technology and people?
Yeah, so I think you said it perfectly, right? When we think of pattern disruptions, it doesn't just have to be on the prospect side. It's good for you guys to have some pattern disruption too. And one of the ways that we could think about doing that is incorporating some of I Love Leasing's AI into your day. And you see, we've got some really great metrics here about how it, gives you 33% more appointments and helps you increase your conversion and helps you lease faster. But I really like the stat here. It talks about how many hours that you're saving, right? Because when we think about incorporating new patterns into our world, right? Where we've got to really think about what the prospect is interested in the tour, which means we've got to spend more time before they show up for that appointment, looking at the guest card, at the conversations that we've had with them, so that when they're on tour, we can talk about those specific things that they're interested in. Those time-saving features are huge. And I think when you think about the prospect as well, right, a disruption that they're getting, right, because AI is immediately responding. Are your competitors doing that? I doubt it, right? It's taking them hours to get back. And as Stephanie has shown, they're just getting that, hey, we've got a 2-bedroom available on July 1st. Whereas AI is going to tell them, hey, thanks for sending in that information. I know you asked about a unit that is this price with this many bedrooms and you're looking for this. We have an exact unit that fits that goal. Unit, 1202. And so it really is disrupting that pattern. And again, still allowing you to jump into those conversations and implement everything that Stephanie has talked about with you today. But in areas that it can save you time and still give that prospect, a unique experience, it's a win-win.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Lindsay is with Spherexx, and it is a beautiful kind of symbiotic relationship between the technology they're providing and the people part, right? You are able to utilize the technology to break patterns just as well as you can break the patterns and save yourself a ton of time in the process too. I love it. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
All right. As we go into speaking of commitment, I promised we would be talking about commitment and the QR chat. or the QR code, I want you to start thinking about where are you most predictable, right? Where are your prospects most likely to filter you out? Where are you operating on autopilot? Where are you operating on autopilot? And that then will probably help you answer where you're most predictable. And I want you to do this right now. I want you to pick one touch point, whether it be one of your emails, your phones, how you open your tour, follow up, whatever, closing. I want you immediately after we're done here to write down what you're going to change. How is it going to change? How are you going to pattern disrupt that touch point? And then use it today, right? Use it today, not after your next meeting, but use it today as soon as you are off this call. And then track the results. Did it interrupt? Did they engage? Did it move them forward, right? Like this is your commitment. This is your commitment to increasing leases, breaking autopilot, and moving the needle on excellence, right? Awesome. But before we go, I actually was curious if you noticed any pattern disrupts in our webinar today. Anything that was interrupting your autopilot, helping to engage. And in terms of converting in this case means learning transfer. Yes, the goldfish, dancing cats, right? Yes, several different ones. Any other pattern disrupts that you guys noticed today? Well, I couldn't just tell you all about pattern disrupting. I had to embody it and do it and make sure that you guys were, thank you, my tone, laughter, music. Yes. Oh, good. You guys are good. You guys are picking up on a lot of it. The goldfish myth, the goldfish themselves later, right? Even the bio slide, you probably expected me to like go into all my credentials. Right. The Price is Right. Exactly. Music selections, right? Because then I'm going to use those in the next one. So if you guys join me for the next one, you're going to probably see your music selection. Maya story, I skipped all those heavily like worded slides, right? And moved right into a storytelling. You might have noticed the live closed captions, right? You might have noticed the live closed captions. That's to help you learn because sometimes I do talk fast and we don't always listen as fast because maybe we were in autopilot. And so you were able to go back and kind of catch the closed captions in real time. Yes, Claudia just pattern disrupted by the shout out. And I love that Geneva jumped on for a second. Perfect. I love it. And oh, sorry, Francesca. I know because everybody's logged in under Claudia. I'm just assuming Claudia's doing a lot of chatting. The slide transitions, if you notice, there's a lot of different slide transitions that are moved in. So that kind of keeps your engagement there. And even just this slide, calling out the, pattern disrupts. Like I really tried the real Claudia. I don't know who the real Claudia is. Engaging the chat. Yes, thank you. So I really tried to embody the idea of pattern disruption in action. And I personally do that on all of my trainings, right? All my training events, because just like sales, prospects can be an autopilot. So can my learners. And I can't have that, right? Because the conversion here again is learning transfer. That's also why I send you everything after too, all of the good stuff. So with that, dun da da da, it's your turn, right? It is time for you to go out and pattern disrupt and break that autopilot. Woohoo! Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you so much for jumping in. Spherexx, thank you so much for supporting this webinar. Everybody here on the call today, thank you for your engagement and your enthusiasm. I enjoy you all so much. Please connect with me with the left QR code and on the right QR code if you can please tell us how we did. And go forth and be awesome, guys. Thank you so much.